I dare say this was the most fun portrait I have ever drawn. There's so much complexity involved in drawing curly fur. So this portrait, because it was a full-length portrait, it definitely gave me a challenge. So to start out, the eyes are very basic. They're just black and have a little bit of highlights to them. They are slanted, almost like almond shapes, but they are both kind of pointed downwards instead of how other animals are just a little bit more a rounded almond shape. And then the ears, there's not a whole lot that is happening to the ears themselves, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I included pink pigments throughout the rest of the portrait. So I also included that in the ears, especially right in the opening part of the ear. And then I used a blend of warm tones and cool tones to create that gray effect that has a little bit of some lighting, some golden lighting in there, as well as the that cool gray, like that bluish color that I use a lot of the time. And then for the head, there's not a whole lot that is actually going on, but to start out, you definitely want to work with the direction of the fur. So I used a cool gray, mixture of cool grays and warm grays to draw short strokes, some long strokes to kind of create a sense of direction before adding more detail. So then I move on to the other ear and I use some mineral spirit oil to blend everything together. If you're interested in the materials that I use, I have an ebook that you can purchase that has all the materials that I like to use on the daily basis. That will be linked in the description. And honestly though, this was a pretty hard challenge for me because there's a lot that I was like questioning on myself. Okay, do I need to draw more, or do I need to kind of like take a step back from drawing too much, because there's a lot of white that is also in this fur. But I think overall, I ended up doing a mixture of both. So the head for sure did not have very much, but the body actually had a lot more, which normally it's the opposite, where I do a lot of detail in the head, but not as much in the body. So this is definitely different for me. And I think it was a nice challenge because of that. So yeah, I don't know why I didn't, I don't know why I was recording the bottom half and I wasn't like showing you. But essentially, it's the same methods of drawing in the same direction, making sure that you're paying attention to where the lighting is. Lighting is very, very, very important. And yes, I do go back over some of the spots that I think are complete, mostly because as you're completing other sections, you're going to end up saying, oh, I definitely missed more details in this section, so I'm going to go back over it. So that's okay if you end up doing the same thing. And now you can see the nose is almost like the eyes in a way, where they're two almond shapes, just a little bit more elongated. But you can see that I definitely worked on the depth there. So I worked on where's the highlights, where's the lowlights, and then drew with black color pencil to work with the mouth and the nostrils themselves. And now it is detail time. So I'm using a blend of different sepia colors. This is in the Caran d'Ache Luminance series. It brings about a purple, gray, brown tone when you use lighter sepia colors. And with this lamb specifically, I wanted to use a blend of colors and kind of go outside of my comfort zone for my usual colors that I like to use, and work with a little bit of some golden tones, as well as some blues and a little bit of some pink, and just apply all sorts of different colors in all sorts of different areas, while also pay attention to, the reference image on where those colors are actually located. So in this actual reference image, yes, there are that many colors that are actually showing up, but you may not know that or pay attention to it if you haven't trained your eyes to it. So over time, as you practice more, your eyes will start to naturally become trained to seeing different colors in that picture. Now, I also use this, it's a raw umber color in the Caran d'Ache Luminance series, but it comes out as a grayish green tone, and I like to use that for almost all my portraits. So I use a little bit of that in here, and you can just use it as, not for the details themselves, but as a good base or as a good just blending in itself. But I like to use a little bit more of that blonde tone in there. And then for the texture of this lamb here, it really does look like child's play at this point. So if that is how you feel when you are drawing, that's okay. Just know that that is a natural part of the process. But as you're continuing to build up those layers, that's when you start to add more detail. You can also use a white color pencil or just a very light one, like a pink or a light blue, to burnish. And the method of burnishing is just pretty much creating a nice heavy waxy coating over what you've already drawn. You use heavier pressure. And what that did here, if you didn't catch that, but it lightened everything up, kind of made it more fluffy looking at the same time. So I use that, and then I use the mineral spirit oil, but the spirit oil, it can like darken it. So that's why I like to use the white color pencil first, and then I'll use the mineral spirit oil. Literally, as I'm saying it, it's happening right here. So the white already on top helps to prevent the colors from getting too dark when you use that mineral spirit oil. Now you can really start to see some details in here. You can see the where the fold is happening in the neck. You can see where the lighting's coming from. You can see the texture of just on the chin itself, and there is a lot that's happening. And yes, it's going to look very weird. It's going to feel very awkward. But if you just trust the process and keep going with it and build up those layers and keep adding texture, it's going to really start to come together. So I used a little bit of some brown in there, and then of course kept going with some gray tones, like cool grays and warm grays. Blending between the cool tones and the warm tones, I've noticed, makes the portrait look a lot more alive. I don't know what it is exactly. I couldn't tell you. I haven't figured out the way to explain it. I've done a lot of work in terms of color theory, but only with experience and not necessarily with the education side of things. So I'm only able to tell you that it does work, not necessarily how it works in the technical way. But I definitely worked on adding darker features. I used a dark sepia in not the Caran d'Ache, but the Faber-Castell Polychromos series to create some of those darker features. I haven't used black all too much. If you can avoid black as much as possible, that would be ideal, because black is a very flat color, and whenever you use it, you want to make sure you're using it to emphasize things. That way, when the portrait is all done, those features will pop out even more so, because if you use black in too many areas, it will not pop out. So, for example, in here, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, I use black. It's popping out a lot more than the rest of the portrait. Even when you step back here, you can also see that the dark sepia that I used looks different than the black itself. But when you were focused in on it, it does look like I was using black, but I wasn't. So just adding that depth, adding those details, thinking about those details too, you really want to have that in the back of your mind as you're drawing all of these details, because the black is where everything is emphasized. That's the focal point. So if you have like a black dog, then it's a little bit different. But still, once again, though, I wait to use black until closer towards the end when it comes to black animals, mostly because it's not just straight black. There's so many layers and so many different colors that's actually involved in black fur. Now, as you see here, there's a lot more details that's already happening in the main body. And yes, adding that dark sepia really, 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 really helps to show that sense of depth. Like, oh, this lamb here has some pretty thick fur. So think about that as you are even drawing like different animals, not just lambs or sheep or whatever, but work on what do I want, what kind of feature do I want emphasized. Usually it is the face. Usually it's the nose, the mouth, the ears, the eyes, those things. So you're going to end up kind of already naturally drawing with darker features, especially with the black in those areas. So that's just kind of a given at that point. But really think about that as you are practicing. What do I want to emphasize the most? Sometimes it's other things like the dog's collar or paws or something like that. So as I'm saying paws, I'm showing you here the legs. I used a little bit of black in there at the very base of the legs here. And I think that kind of helps to show that this lamb is laying down, even though I did not draw any shading or anything, but it's really dark features right there, which means that there's a sense of lighting and a sense of direction where the lighting is coming from, and that the lamb is laying down on the ground somewhere. I know. I hope this really does help you. I'm explaining a lot of things that may be a little bit complex at this moment, but you'll start to understand as you keep going along. If you're interested in learning to draw and you want to follow along, you could take some of my classes. They're all at your own pace. You can click the link below for that. I also have a full 8-week program of learning to draw your own pet, but it also is really good for wildlife as well. So it's very in-depth. Different textured fur, different colored fur, different animal features, all of that. It's all linked below as well. It's at your own pace too, so just check it out. But I really do hope that this video was helpful, more so than other videos too, because I kind of go into depth about black specifically and drawing texture as well, because texture is just very different depending on the animal. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions and if you thought that this video was helpful. I am really happy to help. I like helping my students out, and I like to see progress pictures too. So email me, message me with pictures of your portraits that you've done in the past. I'd love to see them. So just let me know. But don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I post in the future as well. But thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.